15, the second of the Holden Racing Team Commodores in behind Chicotto here.
See, look at that BMW under brakes.
This car, most effective car at Sandown as far as the 1993 cars were concerned. As they come under the bridge, Chicotto leading Seaton and Bradley Jones. Peter Brock, meanwhile.
There goes Manuel Reuter and the 05 Brock Commodore.
So they've repaired the damage incurred at Forest Elbow. And the Falcon and the Commodore, the future of Australian touring car racing, cut their way through the spray.
Manuel Reuter, Brock had a huge rap on him, and someone suggested he may have picked the name out of the Barcelona telephone directory. But he said no, he has a fabulous record, and since Reuter arrived, he's done nothing else but sing the praises of Mount Panorama. Said it's a fabulous racing circuit. There's Brock sorting it out with the Holden Racing Team man, Wally Story. You don't obviously see that a lot with Peter Brock, do you?
No, he's really laying down the law there. Something that incident at Forest Elbow obviously upset him quite a lot. He's making his point very clearly to Wally.
It's just not another Wally Story either. As Brocky's saying, no, he did this to me. But I tell you what, he probably didn't mean it, so Brocky's calmed down, had a big laugh about the whole thing.
A standard mobile cup of tea. Not the best of days for Peter.
He probably just wants to get his hands on Bryce's Akubra.
Yeah, and pull it down. Right down.
Well, there's plenty being said.
It's our race leader as he heads up Mountain Straight. Jimmy Richards, the Raymaster from New Zealand. What a record here in the great race. He continues to lead on our Caltex race score. Neil Crompton in the second of the Winfield Nissans runs in second. 25 is Johnny Chicotto at the wheel at the Tony Longhurst, Benson and Hedges BMW. John Bow at the wheel of the Dick Johnson Shell Sierra runs in fourth spot. Mark Gibbs and Onslow fifth in car number 4. Don't go away, there's a lot more to come. Of Australia's Great Race to Tooheys 1000 continues, lap 57 of 161.
And this is the leader in the 1600cc category, car number 70, the Bates twins, Neil and Rick from Canberra. This entire class comprised of Toyota Corollas. 10 of them started, and they're all still out there, still circulating, still in action, and they do a great job. They get swamped, of course, by the more powerful cars, but they do a tradesman-like job, unlike the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore. This is on pit straight.
More trouble for Trevor Ashby, and it's a long way back to the entrance to the pits from there.
He's got a whole lap, 6.2 kilometres in front of him if he wants to get back again.
While we're talking about the 30th anniversary, car 30 in the 30th anniversary race, the Seaton Jones car has just come in and changed rubber and changed drivers.
Well, Alan Jones just got back into the race. Glenn, quite a long stop, and also a few problems with demisting, I think.
Yeah, as soon as you get behind someone coming down the straight, it instantly fogs. And you're just guessing all the way down the straight. I was actually looking at the white lines beside me to see where the track was going, and it's just hard to drive like that.
Would the problem be that the car's so new you haven't had a chance to test it in the wet?
Well, we haven't done any testing in a wet except for a little bit of sand down, and as soon as you get behind someone, it instantly fogs the windows, so it makes it fairly hard.
Nonetheless, you must be quite pleased with the way the car's gone today.
Oh yeah, I'm wrapped so far. Like, it's a brand new car, 2 months old, and I think it's impressed this weekend.
Thanks, Glenn.
Glenn Seaton there talking with Richie. Car number 30, Alan Jones now at the wheel, rejoins the great race in 15th position.
Back with the 1600cc category leader, the Bates twins from Canberra, and gee, these have been good little cars. Lightweight, of course, and low on power compared to the big machines, only 200 brake horsepower, but with a 5-speed box and that little Toyota engine, just under the 1600 cc's, does a powerful job around here. 38 cars still running in the race, and of the 10 1600cc category cars that started, they're all still out there. Those guys are leading. Second spot being held down by Scott and Jason Bargwana in car 71, and third spot by Peter Verheyen and Jeffrey Full in car 74.
The Bates twins, Messrs. Bates. Don't tell me what you call one of them.
Wrong. Meanwhile, car 9 returns to the pits. More troubles for the second Moffat Sierra. And if Rudy Eggenberger hasn't had enough headaches today.
He certainly has, and Johnny Brady, a very wet Johnny Brady, is our man on the scene.
Yeah, getting a little damp, but unfortunately that could be the problem too with Alan Moore electronic strife. This car's been plagued by it for a while now, and you know, the weather conditions just not helping these electronic cars. All the governing computers are giving a lot of trouble, and the miss in this one they still haven't been able to detect just what is causing it. And really for Alan Moffat, as miserable a day as it seems by the weather.
It's an irony that they should have a problem with electrics, because Rudy Eggenberger is the guru of motor racing electronics. He arrives here with a bag of chips, and I mean a bag of chips, and suddenly Alan Moffat's got two of the most competitive touring cars in the world.
Jeffrey Full at the wheel of car 74, Toyota Corolla. The class winner here. Oh, that's the...
We've had a big accident, the Marathon Foods Commodore.
And the other, it's the second Caltex car.
Yeah, Caltex car 7. The pace car is onto the circuit. And that's been quite a high-speed shunt between these two cars. Caltex 7 driven by Peter Hopwood and Terry Bosenjack.
Not much of the boot left there. I hope he didn't have his golf clubs in.
Car 29 is John English and the New Zealand driver Ed Lamont, the Marathon Foods entry.
Well, the pace car you mentioned coming out, I would think that would probably be for the fog on the mountain, which has really rolled in the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Well, this is one of the pace cars come out so quickly. This is probably one of the fastest corners of the circuit. I think it's just off the King coming into Caltex Chase.
A huge amount of damage to the Commodore front and back. So he's obviously had a clip and then has gone into the fence, or has hit the fence and then clipped the other car. There's the weather shot again. All that mist down on the top of the mountain. Visibility up there is deplorable.
This will be disappointing for John English's team. Had some engine troubles earlier in the week. They're bolting a new one into it Thursday just to get out and qualify.
Fire marshals dousing the fuel cell at the rear of the car.
Car 7's the car that Cullen Bond campaigned this year in the touring car title. Look at the
every corner of the car has been banged up.
That's been a monster shunt, pouring a lot of fire-killing foam all over the back of the fuel tank. May have ruptured the fuel bladder inside the tank, which is very dangerous.
The two drivers standing on the embankment, they're reliving the incident.
Yeah, they'd be pretty shaken up. This is well everyone on this track. This is pretty dangerous conditions. Some GTR pace car on the track at the moment.
Let's go down to the pits and to Richie.
Thank you, Mike. Well, the Nissan GTR pace car's out there. It should be leading the field, and behind it, it should have the GTR that's leading the race. There's a bit of a problem down here, though, a few worried faces, because he's due for a pit stop any minute, and if they can't do the pit stop quickly enough, he might end up getting held in the pits and lose a lap. So Mark Scaife looking a bit worried, so is Freddie Gibson and the rest of the crew.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, some problems for them as they circulate around behind the pace car up to the top of the mountain. Just trying to check the visibility from our outside cameras. That's heading up to the top through Tui's turn.
Well, they call the rain the great equaliser. I guess in this situation, it's all the cards have fallen in Freddie Gibson's favour. It may go against him. He's got to get out of that queue, do his change and get back onto the queue. It's going to have to be a very slick stop. But if they're trying to stretch their fuel load, these conditions will only help when the car's just crawling around at shopping centre speeds.
Across the top, the mountain at Castrol.
Look at the fog. I mean, in the last hour, that has got twice as bad as it was. Really closing in. Treacherous conditions. As they come over the top through Castrol Skyline.
As Alan Horsley pointed out, the pace car is out for the fog, not for the crash. I think would have come out for that crash anyway on the approach to Caltex. Might be an idea to up-spec and see how everyone is running in this great race as we check them out on the Caltex race score. Richards and Scaife continue to lead. Neil Crompton runs in second. Anders Olofsson. Johnny Cicotto still out there. Tony Longhurst to take over shortly. They are running third in the Benson and Hedges BMW. In fourth spot, car number 17, John Bow of Tasmania, driving for Dick Johnson in the Shell Sierra. And of course, Mark Gibbs and the GR Nissan GTR running in fifth place.
6th position, Percy and Grice, the first of the HRT Commodore VPs. In fact, they're running in the Quinella position, the two HRT cars. Brad Jones at the wheel of car 15 in 7th position. Position number 8 held by car 10, the Needsvits Hansford Sonova Sierra. The second of the Shell cars, Shield and Crick, car 18 in 9th position. Medeke and Dunstan in the older model Mobile 1 Commodore in 10th spot.
Position 11, Park and Parsons and the surviving Peter Jackson Sierra. Harrison Cook in the Daily Planet Commodore. That's a good effort. Position 13, car 30, Seaton and Jones, the Peter Jackson Falcon, plugging on through the rain. Position 14, car 7, Hopwood Bosanjak. Well, that's the car you see at the bottom of your screen there. And position 15, car 27, Finnegan and Rogers in the Foodtown Commodore.
Larry Perkins and Steve Harrington, T-Mart Commodore, in position 16. Moore and Gardner. Celebrated Wayne Gardner in the Strathfield Commodore in 17th position. 18th, Reed and Ashby, the Ladsvale Commodore VN. In 19th, Charlie O'Brien and Graham in the Everlast Commodore. And in position 20, Grant and Grant, the Nissan Skyline.
Position 21 currently held by O'Brien and Brabham in the second Synovus entry car 9. Position 22, car 44, McCollin Gazard in a Commodore. Position 23, the BMW 635 of Gulson and Beck in 23rd spot. And the first of the 1600cc cars, Bates and Bates the Corolla, position 24. And the second of the 1600 cars in position 25, the Bargwana cousins.
Running in position 26, Johnson and Wallen Holden Commodore from 27. That's Waldock and Brett Peters in the Playscape car. 74, Verheyen and Full, Jeff Full in the Toyota Corolla, run 28th, 29th, English and Lamont. And 30th spot, Jones and Jansen. Mount Panorama Bathurst, the pace car still out on the circuit at the moment. The two vehicles involved in this incident on the approach to Caltex Chase, John English and Ed Lamont. Let's have a look what happens. Here is the Hopwood car coming up. It was going to pull out and has drilled the Commodore right in the rear, and you can see what has happened. He's put himself around, and there goes the Commodore. He's trying to bring it back under control. He'll hit the wall on the right. Oh! And then straight across to the left, and how on earth he has just missed being hit again. That was a very, very spectacular incident. We might have that from another angle. I'll have another look at that when the explosion, but that is in fact what has happened. The English Lamont car has been hit from behind.
At the time, car 7, the Caltex CXT race team's Ford Sierra was in position 14, so that's an unfortunate incident.
The pace car still on the track, not directly as a result of that incident, by the way. It's because of the very, very heavy mist on the top of the mountain, and visibility is almost zero up there. And at this time, the number 2 Winfield Nissan comes in. Crompton, Neil Crompton exits the car. Anders Olofsson is going to take over the wheel again.
See, Jimmy Richards came in just a few seconds ago.
And
that moved the number 2 car up to the lead.
And Johnny Chicotto's in as well. Tony Longhurst getting into the car.
So they'll do their full fuel stop, change of driver, the BMW team. And Neil Crompton. Good on Cromley. You can actually tell everyone now he led the great race.
Sure did.
Don't think he won't.
Paul Morris there helping Tony Longhurst get strapped in. What a disappointing day for him, not getting a stint behind the wheel with that unfortunate incident involving Denny Hulme.
Sorry, Gary, car 25 was in position 3. This pit stop will drop them back, and Tony's yelling at the crew. He's having these major demisting problems on the front window as well. This is quite a long stop for the B&H crew, and the main problem seems to be this fogging up. And really need everything going for you in these thick, foggy conditions. There's the 18 car. And the problem here is that car 17 is in before them.
Now Longhurst can't get out. He's being held up by the 18 car.
Oh, desperate stuff.
Tony be furious about this.
Well, he's got a lot of time to catch up. Pace car on the way.
He's trying to push it out with his fists. That's how frustrated he is.
That was a pretty fraught sort of stop from the normally slick B&H crew. Greg Crick, Terry Shield talking to him through the passenger side window. All sorts of problems.
Now this is the Moffat car, car 9, the Klaus Needsvits car. They're changing the ignition leads on that, I believe. More electrical problems, and car 10 due in with similar problems in moments.
That's the trouble with all this trick electrical gear. Once you chuck a bucket of water on it, it doesn't help much.
So car 18 gets its chance in the garage. Meanwhile, car 9, it's had so many visits to the pits. And almost 3 hours into the race, all sorts of electrical dramas with car 9. That's a great shame for Alan Moffat. You can see him there. Wouldn't be the happiest man. No, they're not going out of the pits. Bonnet up again. Drama upon drama for Moffat Sierra. Meanwhile, back at the Shell pit, Greg Crick, Australian sports sedan champion,
trying to clear the windscreen of this car as well.
Let's go down to Johnny Brady.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. The common problem here is keeping the windscreens clean and under-misted. There's been some amazing tricks tried. The Glenn Seaton Ford's been using Coca-Cola on the premise that the water might at least stick to the sticky surface and drip, whereas Brocky earlier was using half-cut apples on the inside in the hope he'd get it slippery and the fog wouldn't stick. At least in the Shell pit, they've gone for somewhat more conventional means.
Martha Gardner could be giving tips here.
Mate, there are so many home handy tips around here today, it's amazing. If you can give me one to keep me dry, I'll be delighted.
car 15 also in pit lane. Heading out, enormous number of driver and car changes. Pace car still out on the circuit, heading down Conrod Straight. Tony Longhurst getting out of pit lane in time.
A lot clearer down here. Conditions very different at the bottom of the mountain. You just get some idea of how steep that rise is. You can have different weather on one part of the circuit, completely different weather on one part of the circuit. Visibility negligible up the top. In fact, the cameras give an impression of more visibility than there actually
There really is, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They brighten up the images more than somewhat.
Well, there's a classic example of what you're looking at.
What you're not looking at.
And at high speed. I'll just look at that accident between the 7 Caltex car and the Marathon Foods Commodore, being a dark colour and running at about 200 k's in the spray. I guess you just wouldn't see them there.
Well, you heard Seaton say he was looking out the window to see where the white lines were at 200+ kilometres an hour.
I've done that, but not at 200.
Motor racing in Braille. Not a nice game to play at that sort of speed. Mark Scaife, cool, calm and collected. And there is Rudy Eggenberger with his, just one part of his enormous technical equipment.
That's his Lynx, isn't it, or his Game Boy. He's given up and he's just amusing himself while the pace car's out.
Gary Brabham getting a lesson in the electronics that make these cars tick over.
Trying to
It's not
fire it
ticking
back up
over at
again.
all at the moment.
No spark.
Sierra's once again with their engine management system. They can tune it to suit certain conditions. I guess that's what Rudy'd be doing now. Trying to get the car as drivable as possible when there's virtually no grip. Punching in all sorts of programs into the engine management system.
Oh, how motor racing has changed. When the guru climbs in with the keyboard and tries to retune the car. Richie?
Rudy's down here with the computer. They're still not absolutely sure what the problem is. Gary Brabham sitting very patiently in the car. He had to run round for about 5 or 6 laps with this awful misfire earlier on because they were expecting Klaus Needswitz to come in. And Needswitz, of course, was running well and truly in the top 10 at the time. And Rudy just climbing out of the car now. Computer's still plugged in, though. I'm not sure it's meant to carry passengers like Rudy, so I don't think he'll be going much further with it. But still no clue as to exactly what the problem is.
Do they at least suspect it's connected to the amount of water coming into the car, Richard?
I think that'd be a fairly safe assumption, yes.
I've just heard from Terry Bosanjak, and as we speculated, the weather was the cause of that incident. Bosanjak says that he didn't see the John English car at all. It was black, it was to the left, the passenger side of the screen, and he gave him the old Liberace treatment without any intention or any vision whatsoever.
Had to be the logical explanation, didn't it, for that? John Brady in the pits now with John Bowe.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gary. One bloke very happy to be out of the rain, John Bowe. How was it out there?
It's a hell of a way to make a living, isn't it, really? It's atrocious, honestly. In all my years of motor racing, it's the worst conditions I've ever seen.
Even as a Tasmanian?
Even as a Tasmanian. We don't get rain that heavy down there.
The demisting problem, everyone's having trouble seeing out of the cars. Obviously, the altitude up and down the mountains just making it a nightmare, as well as the heat.
Well, you know, we didn't see the... I guess we didn't see the rain coming before the race, and the inside of the screen missed it up really badly, and you just couldn't see. It was, I got my hanky out of my pocket at one stage and gave it a wipe, but it's not the answer. Now we've demisted it and put the other window down. It might be a little better anyway. But you drive into a wall of spray, and that's why there's all these accidents. You know, you just can't see.
It's easy to joke about it. It must be downright frightening out there at times.
Well, it is, honestly. I'm no hero, and you know, I had my heart in my mouth a few times, I can tell you.
What about when you got a shunt up the back? That must have really given you a heart attack.
Well, there was a wall of spray again, and as I got there, it was Gibbsy, and I jinked left and missed him, thank God. And as I did, someone hit me up the backside, so I don't even know who it was.
Now there's the
Thanks very
Gardner
much.
car. The Gardner Moore car stopped at the entrance to the pit straight.
Hand up, appealing for help. Here they come. Hurry, scurry to push the car back, and they've got a long push.
Meanwhile, Alan Moffat, Sierra will come into shock as they push him past the Moffat pit in a moment. They've changed spark plugs, spark leads. They're changing everything in that car,
And
it
now
still
it won't go.
start.
And the 15 car Holden Racing Team entry, Thomas Mazura, Brad Jones, is back in again. It was in for a pit stop only
2 laps ago.
2 laps ago. I don't know what the problem is there. I suspect Thomas Mazura is back in the car.
demisting again. It's no viz. And we've seen what can happen when you've got a foggy windscreen. Wipers failed. Wipers failed. We lost a fuse in that car before, didn't we? And the wipers failed.
failure.
We've got the same problem once again.
All the things to go wrong.
Pace car goes through our shot there, pursued by car 72, I think it was.
These conditions are becoming absolutely appalling. Like
Look at that rain now. That's sheeting down. That's torrential
it's a
rain.
torrent, yeah.
Yes, the car behind the pace car's not the car leading the race. That's car 72, Corolla entry driven by Greg Easton, Brad Stratton and David Sala.
Even our lap scorers are having to move their position. The rain is coming in. Very strong wind blowing it directly into the commentary box. There's our track cam on the way out of
Look at that.
Repco corner, and that gives you some idea. You might as well stick a camera in the middle of a river. Look at the water there.
What
All
a time for your wipers to fail. We've just heard that the Thomas Pizzera, Brad Jones, Holden Racing Commodore, there's our people.
And
Yes,
there they
they're
are.
suffering.
Hey,
They've now got more problems. The wiper motor has now come loose on the firewall of the car, so it's a litany of woes.
Wipers are working overtime, as are our Channel 7 crew, Nigel Greenway and his team of lap scorers. Heavens above.
On the Caltex race score, let's check out the top 5 at this stage of the race with the pace car out yet again. It's Richards and Scaife in the number 1 Winfield Nissan GTR that hold pride of place ahead of teammates Olafson Crompton in the second vehicle. Longhurst and Chicotto in the 25 entry from Benson and Hedges BMW in third spot, followed by Nick Johnson, John Bower, 17 Shell Sierra, and 5th place in the great race at this stage held by Win Percy and Alan Grice in car 16 for Holden Racing. Stormy weather.
Updating hour 3, and it really has become quite a slow procession.
We're on lap 64. Pace car out for the 3rd time in the race. And the conditions, as we've heard drivers say, Johnny Bower in particular, he's no hero, but he was frightened out there a couple of times.
Last time car 30 went past, the Falcon went past, Seaton was begging with the officials to stop the race. They want a red flag this race.
There's been some suggestion that it may be called out, but the weather, in fact, is a little better than it was 5 minutes ago. So
Yeah, it's terrific.
well, it's
can
not been
see-
a terrific day for a lot of people here at Mount Panorama. As we saw, you can see there, the crowd has thinned out. People are ducking for cover to try and to keep dry, because it's not only wet out there, it has got very, very cold. And as we saw in that last update, Peter Brock is one of the people disconsolate with the way that events have gone here today, and he's in our pit studio at the moment, and we'll be going there shortly to talk to him with Bruce McAvaney. But for the moment, we'll just look at the cause of
All these problems.
these
And
problems.
The reason why the pace cars
Yeah.
out here we are.
This is the Shell car, the Caltex car rather, just did not see the big Commodore in front in these atrocious conditions of visibility. How lucky were they to escape from that?
It's Boz and Jack hitting English, and they're both okay. It's great.
I think when you get a situation like that where a guy on in a straight piece of road can run up the back of another car claiming he never saw it, those sort of conditions are borderline as far as safety is concerned. And I guess a lot of the race officials must be wondering, certainly by the gesticulating by the drivers as they come past race control,
Yes, it's
Whether
a
they're gonna-
clenched fist, really, isn't it? Held aloft.
whether they're going to stop this. So the 2-ish 1000 hangs in the balance as the weather moves in.
The Mungos on the mountain must be pretty uncomfortable in this weather. It'd be a mud heap up there.
Not a pleasant place to be when it's raining.
The scoreboard says Jim Richards and Nissan lead the race from Anders Olafsson. and Nissan. Tony Longhurst, BMW, they're the top three, and John Brady with Tim Schenken.
Yes, thanks very much, Gary. The view from up here in race control is it's a little drier, but I tell you, it must be pretty worrying out there, Tim.
Well, it is worrying, but we've just had a weather report from Orange where the weather is coming from. The advice is that this weather passed through half an hour ago and it is lifting. As you can see, actually, when you look out now, it's much lighter. We were going to keep the pace car out until the circuit's what we would call raceable. It'll still be very wet, but of course we've got a lot of streams running across the road, and once that is cleared up, we'll restart the race.
The fog as well must have been a worry, made you pull the pace car out in the first place.
Yes, it's very important that the flag points can see from one to the other, and in those conditions when that visibility isn't there, then we put the pace car out.
I suppose, how bad does it have to get before you think about calling it off?
Well, the pace car can go as slowly as you like, and I don't want to stop the race, and I don't want to call the race off. So we will just live with the pace car and worry about the weather while that car's out. Once the weather starts to lift, we'll be out.
Nothing else. It makes for an interesting day's racing.
It makes for a long day's racing.
Tim, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
Tim Schenken, the clerk of the course, race director, former Australian racing great and international driver of note. Well, you don't really get any idea just how heavy the rain was there for that brief period, but Tim's right. The mist and overcast has lifted quite dramatically in the last few minutes, and the guys in the pits are taking this opportunity to relax while the pace car's out, because things certainly do get hectic when they come in for all these tyre changes and refueling stops under these conditions. The punter's on the hill, wet and bedraggled, and probably not enjoying things too much at the present time. The pace car continues to circulate. Peter Brock does not. He is with Bruce McAvaney.
He certainly is, Gary Wilkinson. Peter, a good move, do you think, by Tim Schenken to leave the pace car out now for as long as possible?
Yeah, he's had a few rain-affected races lately.
Formula One with Alain Prost a couple of years ago.
Here he is now. But it is a great idea in that respect, because no one wants to see no race. And there is a chance that you get out there and perhaps have 2 or 3 hours of very hard racing as the track sort of does clear out a bit. The biggest problem, and I think Johnny Bowe and Tony Longhurst and all these cars, you've seen them all talk about it, is you simply cannot see. And it's amazing to go down the straight at probably 240, 250k, because the car's not much slower on the wet. And you're looking at a wall of water and you're thinking, well, is there a car in there or is it not? And you're hoping they're going to put their brake lights on or something just to give you a bit of a hint.
Well, you've been coming here since '69. Is this the worst you've ever copped it?
Yeah, it is.
Anywhere in the world?
I'd say anywhere in the world. You couldn't drive in more difficult situation because you can't see. Now, if you're in a car that's got a ventilation system and it's working out okay, and the track is such that it's draining okay, you can get by. And I guess if we're out there doing Tui's Top Gun right now, it would be quite reasonable. We wouldn't be complaining too much. But amongst other cars, there's only one fast line through a corner. And that car, if the car's on the line, someone else is trying to pass, they've usually got to get off that swept area of the road, and they can hit you, you know.
And what about your situation with Alan Grice? You did an interview straight afterwards and you were fairly hot, and we saw you dash down to the Holden team and talk to their team manager. You were pretty upset with Grice.
Well, I did. I thought it was... I thought it was silly, to be honest with you. I'd caught up there. I'd caught and passed their car earlier on. I'd caught up behind this little train here, and none of us could get by because of vision. And Gracie gave me a little tap there. Now, that was okay, because Gracie gives people a little tap occasionally, and you just accept that's the way it is. What added insult to injury is right at that point there, he put it into first gear and drove across and broke the spoiler.
Did you realise the damage that had been done? Because you went out for an extra lap and you were flagged in eventually. It was almost falling apart.
Honestly, I didn't see any flag.
You didn't see the flag?
No. I mean, I wouldn't have known. It's the first time I knew there was a flag.
Yeah.
No, the guys just said, I went past him, they said, your spoiler's dragging, you better come in. So I just came in, purely because the pit radioed me in. But that's what actually happened. It was, he was, of course, testy to get on with it. So he put it into first gear, and unfortunately, the front of my car was sitting there.
So what's the scenario here for the rest of the race? I mean, will we get through the 161 laps, and will the Nissans... We won't get through the 161, no?
Can't see it, unless we want to be here about 8:30, quarter to 9 or something like that, Bruce, you know.
You talked about the apple. We talked about an apple earlier.
There's bed down there thinking, is she going to cook tea tonight or not? Well, look, honestly, we're all trying things to get the car to give us some vision. Over the years, we hear, my father told me a story about an old T model or something he had with an Apple. So I thought I'll try the Apple. Anyway, I went back to the high-tech stuff. And the only thing that worked with me was I got one of those windshield cleaning devices you see down the service station and stuck it down there beside the seat. And I dragged it out and sloshed the windscreen coming down Conrod Straight.
I wonder if that's legal or illegal,
No,
Brocky.
probably illegal. But I tell you what, I'd watched that bloke in the Sierra there bash into that Commodore, and I thought, illegal or not illegal, at least I could see.
Yeah,
so
that's
that was
right.
half a chance.
And you're in 34th position. It might make any difference.
Good, looking good.
Good on you, Peter. Peter Brocker, the other teammate for Brocky, not going too badly. Mikey's in 10th position at the moment. Madeki, back to you, mate.
Thank you, Bruce McAvaney. A very good interview there with Brocky.
Oh, look at that.
34th, he said, we're looking really good. Well, if anyone can drive him in the rain, it's Brocky. By goodness me, he's got some ground to make up this afternoon.
Look at that. The drainage isn't coping with the surface water. That's the end of pit straight, Mike.
Yes, a lot of water on the circuit. I had just 10 minutes ago walked out of here for about 5 minutes to go to our production office to get some papers, and you could not believe how it's raining. I know Johnny Brady and Richie in the pits today have been doing it fairly tough. It was teeming. And Tim Schenken was right. Actually, the weather looks like it could clear.
Well, he said it was coming in from orange, which is the direction the wind is blowing.
It's quite clear in the, well,
Yeah.
I say clear, I mean, it's quite light out in that western, southwestern sky now, and getting better all the time. But draining off the surface water, as Doug Mulray said, is the trick. The Caltex race score reveals that Richards and Scaife continue to lead the race for Winfield. Nissan and the Quinella there with Olofsson and Crompton in second place. Longhurst and Chicotto hold third in the 25 Benson and Hedges BMW. Fourth place, car 17, the Shell Sierra, Dick Johnson and John Bowe. And fifth place held by car 4, Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow in the GIO Nissan. The top 5 in the great race.
Monday on Real Life.
Race car, but I must say the cloud is starting to lift on the top of Mount Panorama. Each lap counts as a racing lap from the scorers. Lap 65 of 161. It's been a long day so far. There's a lot more racing still to go. But at least the drivers will be pleased. The visibility is improving each tour around this circuit.
They've got crews of guys all around the circuit with picks and shovels trying to channel the water away from the circuit. That's the big problem now. It's not the visibility any longer, nor is there that much rain falling at the moment, but it's just the surface water that's collected across and running across the circuit because the drainage obviously is just inadequate to cope.
Certainly this volume of water, Gary, coming down the hill and particularly down Pitt Straight. You can see the drivers at the moment making their way up the mountain. Our cameras will probably be able to show the visibility clearing up there, as you can see there.
Yeah, looking a bit brighter.
Definitely, appreciably better. But that surface water problem is monumental down at the bottom of the hill because that's where the water ultimately must run to. We're now seeing the water at the bottom of the hill that's fallen at the top of the hill. They're going to have to do a lot of work there. As you say, guys out in Macs and Wellies, picks and shovels, doing everything they can to make this racetrack a safer place for the guys who are out there in these dreadful conditions.
They really are dreadful, Doug. And certainly the number of accidents out here related to these horrific conditions. But as Tim Schenken noted, the weather is blowing in from orange, northwest of Bathurst, and the weather conditions there are improving appreciably. And just off in the distance, we can see that the cloud cover is perhaps thinning and we're getting a little bit brighter conditions. So we may be back to some sort of racing pace fairly soon. Possibly one lap from now, I'm told.
Remember last time across the mountain, the cloud cover was down almost to the trees. It has improved greatly.
Yeah. There's a visible difference here, and you can still see water streaming across the circuit, but it's reducing in its intensity. And there's the shot. It has actually stopped raining now.
Every time the cars go across the top, the crowd up there still hanging out for some close racing, keep yelling at the pace car driver to get off.
The rain has stopped in the pits. Word through that rain has stopped falling in the pits completely.
So you can see it's still fairly wet on top of the mountain. Crowd giving the pace car the raspberry. Pace car driven by Graham Bailey, in fact a former winner here with Alan Grice in 1986. Leads the field around in these atrocious conditions. Quite a battle-scarred field it is too. Yellow flag still on the circuit indicating pace car is on the track and the drivers have to hold station. Now there's another good indication of how the weather's lifted. So the cloud is quite clear. The tops of the trees showing through. A little bit of mist and spray around, so it could be back to racing within a lap. So Tim Schenken deciding to keep the race going, and hopefully within the next 10 or 15 minutes his decision will be proved correct. It's been a very long, slow event up till now. A lot of pace car laps, cars going very slowly in these difficult wet conditions.
It's good for the garden, but not much good for people in the Nomex suits.
Absolutely. All we needed to get a little bit of a dry line emerging here, and the cars can go from their wet tyres back on the intermediates or hopefully slicks, and then we'll get some decent racing laps in.
That cloud that we were talking about, the cloud we can see out over Orange Way, is definitely much higher. I don't think we're going to see the Magic Fellow poke his head through today, but we're definitely going to get drier conditions. And as you say, there's a line starting to emerge on the track now. You can see that there at the bottom of Conroe.
Cars under the pace car, we should get away to a start next time around.
Lights are off.
That's definite, yep.
When the lights come off on the pace car, that indicates there's one lap to go behind the pace car, and racing can resume when it pulls into the pit entry. So,
a number of incidents that we have covered here today, none more tragically than the accident involving Denny Hulme, 56 years of age, World Formula One champion in 1967, second at Le Mans, the 24-hour race of 66, US Can-Am sports car champion 68-70. First in the class here at Bathurst in 1990, and it was his 10th Bathurst start. And the sad news is that Denny Hulme has passed away in Bathurst Hospital following that incident earlier today down Pitt Straight, where he struck the wall and came off across the circuit into the other side of the wall. His friends and obviously his relatives have been informed. Most of them are here at the circuit. So to all those close friends, those hundreds of thousands of friends of Denny Hulme who watched him race in a marvellous career, we pass on our sincere condolences.
Well, that's shocking news, isn't it?
Yes, not the best at all. Such a lovely man, and to have done it all on the World Formula One circuit and obviously the Can-Am sports, and a guy who just loved his motor racing, and at 56 years of age was really looking forward to coming here. He was full of fun. He wanted to do well in the class to support Tony Longhurst and Johnny Cicotto. His co-driver, young Queenslander Paul Morris, who ran the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship this year. But just repeating word in from Andy Raymond at Bathurst Hospital is that Denny Hulme has passed away, and his immediate family and relatives have been informed.
Michael, the word is that Denny suffered a heart attack. We were talking about a neck injury earlier, but I've heard he suffered a heart attack, and I can't help but wonder if he suffered a heart attack and hit the wall, or hit the wall and had a heart attack as a result of the impact, the shock. Well,
that we'll never know, I guess, and it's just a tragic event. But for all of that, the surviving B&H car, the 25 car, will continue in the race. Team manager Frank Gardner says Denny Hulme would not have wanted it any other way. I would support that. This is just a terrible time for Frank Gardner. He's shunning the media over in the pits. He doesn't want to talk about it. It's playing on his mind, and he's trying to keep Tony Longhurst with mentally prepared for a very important part of the race this afternoon, and Tony would be extremely upset. They're a very close team, the B&H team, but they're going to go ahead and try and finish in the top three here this afternoon with Tony Longhurst and Johnny Cicotto. Well, Frank Gardner and Denny Hulme, of course, were of a similar age, and they had been great friends and great rivals for many a long year. He will be sadly missed by them. Well, we expect the race to resume next time they come past the start-finishing line. Pace car will lead them down through Caltex Chase. The lights are out, so the race will resume this time around. Needsovitz is back out there. Car 9 back on the track. They have finally sorted out the electronic problems in the Moffat Sierra. And the order still, the number 1 car, Jimmy Richards, Mark Scaife. Mark in the car at the moment, leading the great race over Anders Olofsson in the second Winfield Nissan, and Tony Longhurst, the 25 Benson and Hedges car, running in third spot. Fourth is John Bowdick Johnson in the 17 Shell Sierra.
And the Mark Gibbs car still in there, hanging in there despite all the problems, and they're followed by car number 16, Alan Grice and Win Percy. So we go back to racing.
The battle-scarred Peter Jackson Sierra leads them across the line for the first time. The leaders begin to pick their way through the back markers. The Winfield Nissan's tucked in there. Ooh.
That was a bit of late braking there, but it looked like it was perhaps Manuel Reuter.
Sure was. So, after dozens of laps behind the pace car, we're back to racing in the 2 East 1000. Let's hope the weather continues to lift and we can get some fast lappery here in the final 2 or 3 hours of the race. A long way to go in the 2 East 1000.
Just back to what Doug said a few minutes ago, and just following my words about Denny Holm, the ARDC and Tim Schenken, the clerk of the course, has just issued a statement no more than 30 seconds ago, and in which he says it appears that Dennis Holm suffered a massive heart attack while at the wheel, and a coronial inquiry will be made. Believe me, not wish to be flippant, but Denny Holm and all the racing, and all the success, and a Formula One champion, knowing the way that Denny felt, Denny had to go. Denny wanted to go at the wheel of a race car. And I say that without being flippant whatsoever. Great guy. Okay, back to the race. Car number 1. I can't believe it. Like the fog's rolled in again at the top. Or maybe that's just the spray.
Well, it's got a pretty good view of the mountain from the commentary box, and there are low-level cloud drifting in and out of the situation. But it has got progressively darker and closed in again, so the conditions changing constantly, but they're definitely on the improve. There we are. A fair bit of low-level cloud, but visibility improving all the time. Mark Scaife at the wheel of the Winfield Nissan GTR, the car that once again won the Australian Touring Car Championship, second year in succession. Mark Scaife, boy, what a career he's having. 25 years of age, and he's won just about everything there is to win in Australian motorsport. Australian Touring Car Champion, Bathurst winner, Australian Gold Star Champion. Now he's won a category in off-road racing. He's also Australian 2-litre champ. He's got an enormous pedigree developed over a very short period of time. Mark Scaife, hard at work.
So Anders Olofsson still running second in the number 2 Nissan GTR, and Tony Longhurst in third. John Bowe, Dick Johnson back in 4th spot. 5th is the GIO Nissan GTR, and 6th place the Alan Grice Win Percy Commodore.
The race running to the Fred Gibson script today.
Very much so.
He's been able to orchestrate the weather as well, and at this stage still a lot of racing to go, as we said, but at this stage the race falling into the hands of the Winfield Nissan GTRs. In fact, 3 Nissans in the race, and they're running 1st, 2nd and 5th, with the GIO Nissan driven by Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow in 5th spot. The 2 cars splitting the Nissans are the 25 car BMW Benson and Hedges, and Dick Johnson, John Bowe, and the 17 Shell Sierra.
Up to the cutting. Just watch the car accelerate out of here. Brings the power on. Sits beautifully on the road, heading up to 2 East Turn. And opening that gap all the time is young Scaife in car number 1.
And as we watch Mark Scaife demonstrate the capabilities once more of this car in these conditions, we look back at the things that have transpired so far in the great race this year. It's almost impossible to recall them all and to compile highlights of what has taken place, commencing with Peter Brock being stalled at the start.
Here comes the number 2 car of Anders Olofsson. No, it was still the 1 car coming off Mazda Elbow. So the order still Scaife, Richards, clear of Olofsson, Longhurst, then Dick Johnson, John Bowe, Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow, Alan Grice and Win Percy, Andrew Madecki and Troy Dunstan in the number 55 Mobile machine.
Doing a good job in that car.
Yes, they certainly are, Gary. Then Hansford, of course, pairing with Klaus Niedzwitz in the Synovus Vitamins car, and Greg Crick in the 18 Shell Sierra. So they've done very well. Probably the cars that have had the most number of pit stops today.
Well, rounding up that top 10, because you got as far as number 9, is the car that looks badly in need of a visit to the panel beating shop, and that's the 35 Peter Jackson Sierra, in front of the boss, Glenn Seaton, in the new Falcon. And I see just across from our commentary area that the Shell pit crew are readying themselves for a stop. We'll keep our eye on that in the next few minutes. Synovus Sierra, number 9. The car driven by Charlie O'Brien, Gary Brabham, the one that they've had so much electrical problem with.
There's Tony Longhurst, the number 25 car, Johnny Chicotto, doing a fabulous job in that earlier today. Tony has taken over the machine.
But is no longer in third place.
Looks like Dickie Johnson has been able to get by Longhurst for third. GAO car coming through out of the mist as they make their way up Mountain Straight again.
And it's the number 18 Shell car that will be coming in for the pit stop, and Terry Shield will return to the car. I see the pace car is going back out onto the...
Dickie Johnson and John Bower, the fast qualifiers here yesterday. Fourth is Tony Longhurst at the wheel of the Benson & Hedges BMW. Fifth, car number 4, Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow in the GIO Nissan GTR. Sixth spot, car number 16, Win Percy and Alan Grice in the HRT Commodore VP. Seventh is 10, Niedzwitz and Hansford in the Synovus Vitamin Sierra. Eighth, car number 18, the second of the Shell cars, Terry Shield and Greg Crick. Ninth, car number 55, Andy Madecki and Troy Dunstan in the Mobile 1 Commodore. And in 10th spot, car number 35 is Wayne Park and David Parsons of Tasmania. We'll be back right in Mazda Forest Elbow. Car number 3, the Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore, driven by Ashby and Reed.
Trevor Ashby was at the wheel.
And they were running 15th, but they've gone straight ahead and not taken the left-hand turn. They've got out into the grassy area there and banged into the tyre wall.
That's Trevor Ashby. You can see standing above the wall there, helmet in hand. Pace car is on the track as it had to be until they can clear this out of that corner. So this is the 4th time.
We might have a look at the replay now, Gary, and see exactly what happened. Oops, I know what's happening. Straight under the camera, and he's gone straight into the wall. Well, as soon as he got off the blacktop, and I think it locked up, there was nothing there. There he goes, straight into the tyre wall, just at Mazda Forest Elbow. Cars travelling close behind were able to get through, of course, because the car wasn't blocking the track, but it's not really something you want to leave in Mazda corner for the remainder of the race and have someone else run off and do exactly the same thing.
A nasty obstacle. I've just been out for a walk in my rubber clothing, which has come in very handy this weekend, Mike.
It certainly has.
And there's clear blue sky coming from Orange. We're going to have sunshine again before this race finishes. I mean, we've had a bit of everything, really. It's a cocktail.
Well, the pace car is out. Gee, I couldn't think of a worse place or a worse race to want to make your Australian touring car debut at, given the weather conditions. I feel for Wayne Gardner, and he's with Bruce McAvaney. Bruce?
Yes, Mike, the perfect leader, and you're dead right. Wayne is with me, and he was saying a moment ago he's picked the best year. We've had Peter Brock up here, who's been coming since 1969. Colin Bond's not far away. He's driven in 26. No one can remember a year like this, and you've picked it for your first one.
It's a great start, isn't it?
You'll be back to the 500 cc's in no time.
Yeah, I considered bikes, to tell you the truth. When I was going down the straight and I couldn't see a thing and there's fog everywhere, I'm going, oh, I think I'll go back to bikes. This is not fun.
Well, you guys are renowned for your bravery and your daredevilness on bikes, but did you fear for your life during this race?
No, I wasn't fearing for my life, but I was fearing that, you know, I might have had with no vision, run into another car or put into a wall or something and ruin the team's chances, you know, because we do want to finish this race. And But unfortunately, during that session, when I was having trouble seeing, I could feel a vibration coming, and when Graham got in the car, the tail shaft just dropped out of it, so I knew it was on its way.
You're in 17th position at that stage, and the VN's off the road at the moment. Do you expect it to get back on?
Yeah, unfortunately, they're...
Unfortunately, it might.
Unfortunately, I'm in for some more punishment, and, you know, I'm going back out there, yeah. They're putting a new tail shaft in, we'll have another go, but we have had problems with the tail shaft yesterday as well, so there is a problem there.
Well, you couldn't have expected it, Wayne. I mean, you came here hoping to maybe finish in the top 10, but you couldn't have expected a day like today. Nobody has. It's been unbelievable.
Well, it's a shame, yeah, because we got the car finally working really good, and I was looking forward to a good hard race, particularly in the dry, and of course it threw it down, and I've been really struggling out there, particularly with vision. I mean, the windscreen is fogged up, and I was sort of trying to look over the steering wheel to see if there's any cars in front of me, and it wasn't fun. In fact, I had to come in and not only have a tyre change, but have an underpants change as well. I mean, it was not fun out there.
I'm glad you did that before you came in here. Brocky said it's the worst conditions he's ever seen. What about you, with all your experience over the years and ridden in every different, country in the world? Is this the worst you've ever experienced as a racer?
No, I've been in similar conditions in Germany once in the rain at Hockenheim, and that was not fun. But
that was on the bike?
Yes, but motorcycles don't create as much spray as this, and a car drags up a lot of water off the road, and you can't see a thing.
Okay, Wayne. Good luck. Let's hope you get back out there and have a safe journey, and good luck for the future. You're a very busy man, and we hope to see you back at Bathurst next year.
Thank you.
1987 world champion Wayne Gardner. As we go back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Bruce. I think Wayne's happy to sit there with you for the remainder of the afternoon. They might need a sky hook to drag him out of the studio. Good on you, Wayne. Good luck. Thank you. The car's still coming down. It'll only be a lap or so under the pace car, I would think. Dickie Johnson. Gee, I tell you what, he is hanging on like you couldn't believe today. It's a day for the old pros, Dick.
You never know, Mike, do you?
Do you never know? Do you reckon if you could do a pit stop for a bit of a four-wheel drive adjustment, it would help?
Oh, mate, you wouldn't believe. Bowie, this is Bowie's car that he used all year.
Yeah.
And he likes, these little bits and pieces in the car. He's fairly fussy, And he's got pipes coming. There's more donkeys things in here than I've ever seen in my whole life. They're here, they're here, they're here. And all they're doing is filling up with water and blowing water all over the inside of the windscreen. So I need a wiper on the inside as well as the outside.
I mean, how's the car running?
It's fantastic. It really is fantastic. But as I said, what are we? Almost halfway, but gee, we've still got a long way to go.
Yes, there is a long way to go. If it goes full distance, I hope you got a good set of floodlights.
Well, I tell you what, I don't think I've got any floodlights. The lights are covered on the front, so I might have to get a couple of one of those ones with the stick-on doobies on the side here.
Dick, your qualifying lap yesterday was sensational. That was a special qualifying engine put together to get pole?
Mike, it certainly wasn't. It was the same engine that we'd run. We changed an engine on Wednesday after the first session, and on Thursday, Friday, it was the same engine. And it's just been taken out. It's running the same boost. I've turned the boost down one knob now because of the wet conditions, but other than that, there's no difference from the one we got in today. It's just that at this point in time, we've tipped a lot more fuel into this to keep it cool down the long straights, just to make sure the thing hangs together for us.
Tyres haven't been a problem?
No, the tyres have been very, very good indeed. These sort of conditions, it's very difficult to know whose tyres are going to be good and whose are going to be bad, but these seem to be feeling quite good.
It's really a very funny race this year. It'd be hard to put a handle on it. I mean, so many things have happened, and, you're going to have a dry run to the flag, hopefully.
Yeah, that would be nice, just to cap off a week that's been weather that's been quite fantastic, really. The weather's been very acceptable. It's been cool, and we've had a bit of warm weather. But now, boy, who would ever predicted this would have happened?
No, not with the... not almost on cue as it happened today.
Well, being a boater, I've got a fair idea with weather, and I think we made the right choice of tyres when we came into the pits, because I could see this huge front coming across the mountain over here. And I said to Ross, I said, pal, Bowie better get his hat on, because he is going to be the one in the wet, not me.
I got Doug Mulray with us, like to have a chat.
Dickie, G'day, Dickie. How are you, mate?
Good, Doug, and you?
Yeah, just fine. Looks like they were about to cut your show in half, too.
You're not wrong.
But the weather's coming good. You can see that blue sky moving in from orange, and you'll run home on the dries and give the punters a bit of drama, I'd say, mate.
I sincerely hope so. I think the only thing to worry about in that situation early in the piece is when you get a dry line and it's very narrow and you've got to pass slower cars. You've got to be very, very careful.
Dick, what's it feel like when you're running in these appalling conditions and the turbo cuts in? You must lose all traction at over 200 Ks.
I can tell you, Doug, it's like chewing the leg on a chocolate frog. It's about that much fun.
It's not an experience I can relate to, but I'll take your word for it. Dick Johnson. We've just had word that Perkins has come in to put brake pads in the car. It's hard to imagine the brakes getting a big hosing in these conditions, but he's putting brake pads and an alternator in. So he's had his electrical woes today. Firstly, a battery problem, now an alternator. We suspect that that battery may have gone earlier because the alternator wasn't delivering enough power.
Well, with conditions drying up now, new brake pads in the car, he won't have a problem to the finish, will he?
Let's hope not. He's had enough for the day.
Sure has. Well, as you saw in the previous picture, they've got the Reed and Ashby Lansvale Smash Repairs Commodore on the back of the truck and will be off the circuit very shortly. So there's probably another lap, maybe 2 laps at most, of pace car to go before we get back to racing here. Nissan's running 1-2. Dick Johnson, 3rd place, followed by Tony Longhurst, then Mark Gibbs. At the top 5, 5th place in the race held by Alan Grice, Win Percy in the first of the Holton Racing Team cars. Back over in our pit studio, another of the very disappointed men here today, Colin Bond in the Caltex Sierra with problems right at the outset. He's with Bruce McAvaney.
Yes, you're right, Gary, and welcome, Colin. It wasn't much of a day for you, was it?
It wasn't actually. I must admit, you know, we built a brand new car to come here with, and we had a slight problem with the oil pressure this morning, and it's just something that you can't fix, and the car's sitting in the garage, you know, and now Terry Boscombe had a big mishap, you know.
Yeah, that's a spectacular thing he had, wasn't it?
It was. He just said, look, he just honestly couldn't see a thing. The car in front of him was a black car. There's a lot of spray. He was going down the straight. And next minute, it just was there, and they just touched, and it was all over. So the conditions are very bad, as most of the drivers have been, you know, talking about before. And I think basically the cars probably aren't set up as well as they could be for these conditions, because we don't have these conditions very much in Australia.
Colin, you actually missed, I guess, the worst of the experience because you were in so early. It's a paradox, sure. Really. I mean, you're out of the race so early and you didn't cop the worst of the conditions.
No, it's a bit of a shame, I guess. I don't mind driving in the rain, although I must admit these conditions were appalling. The visibility is the biggest problem. That's what everyone was talking about. Nobody minds the weather if it's raining and it's slipping and sliding, but when you can't see and see the car in front of you, that's the biggest problem, and that's what, you know, most of the people were complaining about.
Well, you're driving a Sierra. A moment ago, there's your car in there now. A moment ago, we spoke to Dick Johnson about the problems of driving a Sierra in conditions like this.
Sure, they've probably got to be the hardest car when you say that, because the horsepower comes in with a bit of a rush. They're very short wheelbase, fairly narrow tyres, you know, compared to some of the others. And I guess, you know, you look at the Nissan is the car, of course, and then the Falcon and the Commodore, they're a bit longer wheelbase, normally aspirated. You can sort of progressively put the power on and just feed the power into it, let the car just sort of slide, and you can control the slide with the amount of power, and off you go. The turbo car does create that problem, of course.
So the Nissan's the one to beat. Just finally, Colin, on a very sad note, Danny Holm had a heart attack today and passed away. I mean, you've raced against him so often in the past. It must be a terrible loss, not only to all of his friends and relatives in New Zealand, but to the racing community here and around the world.
Sure. I mean, you know, Danny has been racing, gosh, you know, well, a very long time, and he's walked out of some monumental crashes in the old sports car days and things, and to think that he'd die just like that, you know, which obviously was a heart attack or something, because there's very little damage done to the motor car, and I just think that to see the car just going down the straight, bouncing off a wall, having the brakes on, the driver wasn't trying to control the car by steering it or taking the brakes off and getting it on. There was definitely something wrong at that particular point, and you know, I just, when you saw the ambulance there had to be something like that.
Yes, it's a devastating day for motor racing. Colin, thank you for your time, sure. And bad luck for your performance this year. It hasn't been the best for the Caltex team today. We go back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Bruce, and thank you, Colin. Colin, of course, knew Denny very well, and a tough day for Colin, not only as a competitor, but also the president of the Australian Racing Drivers Club. In the meantime, the cars are out on the racetrack sitting behind the pace car. We'll check them out on the race score. Jimmy Richards and Mark Scaife continue to lead over their teammates. Niels on wheels, Crompton and Anders Olofsson. Third, Dickie Johnson, John Bowe. Fourth, Tony Longhurst. Keep an eye on him when it gets dry. And running in the fifth spot is Gibbs and Onslow. Don't go away. We'll be back in a tick.
Your team didn't make
Australia's great race, the Tooheys 1000 from Mount Panorama at Bathurst, lap 77 of 161. It's going to be a long day at the mountain here. Hope you're enjoying the 7 networks coverage of this great event. And to our viewers, TV3 throughout New Zealand, bringing you that very sad news a little earlier about the death of Denny Holm here today at Mount Panorama. To our viewers across the BBC and, of course, through Screen Sport and Star Television in Hong Kong. The great race will continue. We'll be back to green flag racing in just a moment because the pace car has the light off and it is bringing the field down the straight as the number 10 Moffat car, the Synovus Vitamins entry, is back in the pits.
They were running in 9th position at the time they went to the pits, but they'll want to get a move on with racing about to resume.
You can see how that line's drying out, Gary. It's going to affect the tyre selections. I know that the Shell team are down there with a set of intermediates ready to go. We've had the opera glasses on those, and the boys are going to be working out now with this blue sky imminent whether they want to go and do intermediates and move to slicks, or whether they're going to stay out on these wets to the point where they can do the one tyre change before they run home.
Well, it's a critical decision too.
Certainly is. We've got the light out on the pace car. It, as pulls off, is car number 1. The leading Nissan leads them up.
Sunshine for the first time today here at Mount Panorama.
A special word of thanks, I guess, today to Nigel Greenway, Phil Harrison and our crew outside our commentary spot. They've been through all the bad weather. They do a wonderful job. The rest of the cast, Tim Grant, Alf Grant and the Sizzler Nissan Skyline, go through there on the way up to the mountain.
What we've got to do next year is get Nigel some waterproof ink.
Wayne Park, David Parsons' car also heads up the mountain. Alan Jones has stepped into the number 30 Peter Jackson Falcon. Andrew Harris going through there, car number 41. The car from Metropolis. And they're still in there.
Not only are they still in there, I think the team sponsor, John Trimble, is the man behind the wheel.
He had a problem, as you recall, here on Friday.
Yes.
Where he had a problem with the car. It caught fire. Forgot to get the fuel pumps off. And buried it in the wall, and it virtually burnt to the ground. It's running 13th at the moment. Andrew Harris.
Sponsored by the Daily Planet, a notorious house. A house of ill fame. I have their brochure here, Mike. I'll just pass that across to you.
No, I think I'll be right, thank you, Doug. I'm not touching that with a barge pole on Sunday afternoon.
In fact, when he ran into the wall the other day, Trimble definitely driving, we've just had that confirmed, when he put it into the wall the other day, someone had the audacity to refer to it as a cock-up. I thought that was most unfortunate.
To the top of the mountain, to his turn. John Trimble find the conditions here today a little more pleasant than on Friday when they ran out of extinguishers.
I wonder what rubber he's using.
Coming in now for a Prima Holidays pit report, it's the number 18 car. John Brady is the man on the spot.
Yes, thanks very much, Mike. Terry Shield about to hop into the car. The question, as Doug quite rightly pointed out, is just what they were going to do with tyres, and they've been debating that for a little while. They've got the intermediates, which are the hand groove slicks on the car, or about to go on the car at the moment. They've also got a bit of a problem under the engine, which I don't think they expected on the way in. But it's certainly off at the moment. So this is something they didn't need. They've already had a couple of dents around the front. In fact, the whole front spoiler's just hanging on by a thread at the moment with a bit of tape. Up and running now. And it's been a bit longer than they would have expected, but the real car running for them at the moment is the 17 car, and what they'll be hoping to do, in fact, they haven't gone for the tyre change even, so they're still running the full wets. What they were hoping to do was make up their mind a little with this car, so that with the 17 car they could make a more solid decision about which was the right tyre to be on, but they're obviously holding off on that for a while longer.
Thank you, Johnny. Cars come down. Subaru straight towards Caltex Chase, 18. The pits was 7th on the road when it went into the pits.
Perkins has just left the pits as well after a very lengthy stop. I don't know what the problem was there. I think that may have been that alternator trouble again. But he's back out and circulating.
The group of the Corollas we were following a little earlier. We'll be back to them and see how things are panning out in the Corolla class, the baby car class in this year's Tui's 1000. The 55 car comes into the pits. Andrew Badecki and Troy Dunstan.
There's been some front end damage there.
Placings have not changed, by the way, Michael. In the 1600cc class, it's still the Bates twins in car 70 leading that category from car 71, Verheyen and Full in second place, and car 74 is third, Jason and Scotty Bargwanna.
I thought they drove rolls, the Bargwannas.
I thought they made gearboxes. But it's notable that car 70, the leading car in that class, has now moved into the top 20 outright.
That's outstanding, isn't it?
There's the Moore Gardner car again, the Strathfield Car Radio's Triple M car. They have replaced that tail shaft, and they're back out there.
Greg Easton from 4KQ in Brisbane in this little Corolla entry.
He's a jock, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Must be very hard to drive with one hand on the wheel and one hand casually positioned over the left ear.
This is Terry Finnegan in the Food Towns Commodore. Gary Rogers sharing the drive here with him, and they're up to 14th position and moving. They've passed a couple of cars since the pace car left the track just a lap and a half ago, and so they're on the move. They've been circulating very consistently all day, staying completely out of trouble, which is more than a lot of the competitors here can say today, considering the conditions. As I said, they're in 17th position. A good job so far. In fact, up to 17th.
Great shot as we follow the cars down Subaru Straight. Let's go down to the Alan Moffat pits, and Mark Osler joins us there.
Yes, Mike, you won't believe the bad luck that's befallen Alan Moffat once again. Rear differential has failed, and Alan's been in here for 2 or 3 minutes already. Greg Hansford sitting disconsolately at the wheel. You can see the work going on under the car. These 9-inch differentials were developed in Australia because they were supposed to be bulletproof compared to the original diff setup that the Sierra had. They should be able to run thousands of kilometres without any trouble, but bad luck has befallen Alan Moffat once again. Differential failure on the car 10 when it was running in a very strong 8th position.
Another piece of brilliant 7 technology there that we now kind of take for granted. We affectionately call it stick cam. And without getting in anybody's way, this tiny camera at the end of about an 8-10 foot rod, you can just slip it under the car, catch all of the action without inconveniencing the pit crew in this critical work.
Interesting stuff now on top of the mountain. Dickie Johnson at the wheel of the 17 car, and car number 2. Anders Olofsson back in that car. Signalling to the drivers as they come through there on the way to Forest Elbow. Well, we have the traces of a dry line starting.
And traces of competition as a result. It's definitely going to make for more interesting viewing, I'm pleased to say.
It's the battle for second.
Another drama, Mike. Look, oil flags are out. We've got oil on the track somewhere.
We'll have to follow that. Now Johnson trying to stretch the Sierra. He's running second on the road at the moment behind Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards, and the man sitting behind him is Anders Olofsson in the number 2 Winfield Nissan GTR. The only man standing between them and a 1-2 for the afternoon is Dickie Johnson at the moment.
And they're gobbling him up there under brakes at the bottom of Conrod.
Well, they will in the wet. Now Olofsson coming straight down on the inside. This is how easy it is. He can run through there. There's not a dry line there. The car doesn't get sideways at all. Johnson closes it up. Now Johnson's getting egged into a bit of a race here, which he really doesn't need. a straight line. If they could find a bit of straight line here, it'd be interesting to see what Dick can do with the GTR, but it's like waltzing on ice at the top of the mountain because there's no dry line up there. And look at this, Dick. I don't know if he appreciated that.
Well, Dick would want to be in front going over the top of the mountain because that's where the Nissan has the biggest advantage with the four-wheel drive in these damp conditions.
My information was that they've already rolled the slick tyres out for the next pit stop for the 17 car.
It's a moment with one of the little cars.
We're now at the halfway distance as car 74 takes a little reverse there into a break in the wall. That's the Peter Verhey and Jeffrey Full class leaders, by the way. I think they might have just about given up that position now to car 71.
AJ heads into the pits in the Peter Jackson EB Falcon V8.
He's having a little drink while he sits there. No driver change, which is a pity. I'd like you to have seen his white shoes. We noticed earlier that
they're Mike Gore originals, aren't they?
Alan Jones is wearing white driving shoes. He is a Queenslander after all. I'm sorry, Gary Wilkinson, I forget. I forget you've migrated.
Defected?
Hasn't been, as Mark Osler reported earlier, the best of days for Alan Moffat, who apart from being a great team owner is also a member of our 7 Sports team, so you can stand down there and commiserate with my old pal.
Yeah, commiserations indeed, Michael. Alan Moffat, your 6th attempt at Bathurst in a Ford Sierra, differential problems.
Well, I won't say we haven't been here before, but this time I'm sure it's not actually the crown wheel and pinion burned out. We appear, but the oil that's come up on the back, that we've lost the oil seal. We run these things in with tender loving care. This unit went in on Saturday afternoon for the last session. We had no reason to suspect it. You have to try your best, and you do your best, but sometimes you start chasing the technology. I think next time I'm here, I'll have about 10 oil seals on the net.
Alan, that's effectively the end of the Sierra era at Bathurst. What happens next year with you?
Hopefully we'll get the funding together, a consortium together to run a Falcon. I believe that's the way we'd like to go. But we need a little bit of help to get alongside our friends at Synovus and get a package. You know, when you lay down some new cars, it costs a lot of money just to kick you off. But with the 3-year window that CAMS have given this regulations now, I think we should get in at the beginning of the year and chase it for 3 years. It'll be good, but you've seen how nicely the V8s have gone here today, and we have the odd bit of experience with a V8, and I'm looking forward to doing that.
Great, thank you, Alan. Alan Moffat with V8 power next year, and hopefully a bit more luck in the Tooheys 1000.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks to Alan. Car number 30 has already been in and out of the pits and rejoins in 11th spot. Let's check the split times. The race leader, Richards and Scaife, holding that 14.3-second break over the second car, the number 2 car. Third, of course, is Dickie Johnson and John Bauer. Not too much between second and third still. Tony Longhurst and Johnny Cicotto run in 4th spot, and rounding out the 5, Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow. Heck of a race still to come here at Bathurst.
Welcome back to Mount Panorama. The good news is the weather has cleared for another flurry of activity as they all went. We've got some more action here, cars stopping as this great piece of theatre unfolds here at Mount Panorama.
Thank you, Cameron Williams. That was the problem. The GIO car was in 5th position, stopped on the side of the road. They've been able to fire it up, and they're heading back to the pits.
Blowing a lot of smoke when it pulled up, and not blowing any smoke now.
And some damage to the front right as well.
As they had it coming together with a Sierra on the exit to Forest Elbow. So Mark Gibbs, I'm sorry, doing the right thing. Can handle well on the grass as well with that 4-wheel drive advantage. But he's staying off the racing line and not causing trouble to any competitors.
Might also suggest a tyre problem with driving it down the grass and being a bit softer.
Keeping the tyre intact so he can get it to the pits and repair whatever damage. Who was that he came together with? One of the Sierras.
Ken Matthews.
Ken Matthews.
Yeah.
Here we have the replay. Watch this. There's Ken Matthews around. He gets hooked up with the GIO car, and there was the Mobile Commodore up on the inside.
fist out the window.
Oh, Gibbsy was anything but impressed about
there's
that.
the tyre drama.
That started off the tyre drama, as Doug said, coming down beneath the GIO bridge. They've got it into the pits now. Should be able to bring you up to date. And Bob Forbes there. Mark Osler is down. I don't think that one was in the script, Mark.
No, certainly not. Looking running in 6th position in such a difficult race with a great effort by the GIO crew up till now. But there is, well, there's a lot of oil leaking out of the front of the car. There's obviously been a bit of damage to oil coolers at the front, where they're located at the front of the engine. They're changing tyres, they're throwing off the wets, they're putting on slicks, but quite severe damage to the front of the car. Apparently it tangled with a Sierra. I think I heard you guys mentioning that. Bob Forbes is a very upset man at the moment. He's looking pretty strong here. So a lot of work going on, but I can tell you there are gallons of oil tipping out of the front of this car.
Bob's son, John Forbes, and his Olympic partner, Mitch Booth, are in the pit crew for the GIO team this weekend. Of course, they were bronze medal winners in the Tornado class yachting at the Barcelona Olympic Games. Peter Brock, 05.
That's Manuel Reuter, the wheel of the 05 car. Seems a leisurely stop down there.
More problems for Rocky. Longhurst has been in. He's picked up new tyres, fuel, and is back out in the car. He stayed in the car.
Alan Jones in the Peter Jackson Falcon, slipping by a Dillman and Cotter BMW entry.
Tony Longhurst has been and gone in 26 seconds, and here comes the number 2 Winfield Nissan. Anders Olofsson of Sweden in the car.
And staying in the car.
Yeah, staying in the vehicle. So Anders has done a great job running support for the number 1 car today. And Dick Johnson coming into the pits now just ahead. He's going to change over to slicks as well.
And they're doing pads, I think, too.
Could be. JB ready to step in. And JB is down there to cover JB's pit stop.
Yes, thanks very much, Mike. The brake pads were there just in case they were going to try and hold off to the next stop. It looks like they're going to be able to do that. And otherwise, it's just a straight driver change and tyre change onto the slicks, as was quite rightly pointed out. Topping up with the engine oil. They want to get this one out of the way quickly. The only gamble with, of course, leaving that brake change out is that if the brakes wear down a little hard, it can make the later change a little difficult. But I'm sure they've worked that out. And in 34 seconds, they're off and running with John Bow in the car.
And while all that was going on, Johnny Brady, the number 2 Nissan, has rejoined the race. Anders Olofsson still at the wheel, and as a result of that pit stop has overhauled the Shell Sierra, and they've swapped positions.
So 2 rejoins in second, 17 in third. Race leader is still the number 1 car. AJ with a drying line. Appreciate that. Peter Jackson Falcon V8. Been a very impressive debut here at Mount Panorama. Basically an untried car. And AJ, our former Formula 1 world champion, concentrating.
In 11th place.
Haven't had the opportunity with Racecam before to watch Alan Jones. Been sensational, of course, in the BMWs. Just like another day at the office.
It's a different look to Seaton, though. You've got to put the wide-angle lens on when you're trying to get pictures of Jonesy. He can't hear me, can he, Mike?
Oh, I just hate to think that he could.
He's a violent man.
Okay, number 1, the leading car coming in for its pit stop. The 2 car has been and gone. This should be a quickie.
Yes, in and out without surrendering the lead, I would imagine.
Freddie Gibson stands at the front of the car.
Mark Scaife staying in it by the looks of things.
And Mark Osler is there.
Mark Scaife indeed staying in the car. Just had a check of the brake pads. This thing is not using a lot of brake pads. Very impressive performance from the car. But the pits are so tight that we've actually got to move out of the way. They've gone backwards. Now they're going forwards. Very slick stop. They're actually back on the ground in just under 24 seconds. Remarkably quick stop from the Nissan team.
The body language between Mark Scaife and Freddie Gibson was good. Just a point. And Freddie was moving them back so he could get going. He's done all the development driving for the Nissan GTR Mark Scaife. Brilliant young driver, capping off a sensational year.
They've been extremely impressive, this team today. Very trying conditions, as we've seen. Everybody been under pressure. A lot of people cracking under that pressure. But the Winfield Nissan team has not put a foot wrong.
They head up into Repco corner, car number 1, still at the front of the field, so a very, very quick pit stop. The doyen of interviewers is with the doyen of a party. Let's go to Bruce.
Thanks for the wrap, Mike. Yes, John Hewson is here, the leader of the opposition. John, the first time I met you was a couple of years ago, and you were an enthusiastic spectator at this race. Suddenly you found yourself on one of the teams. What's happened?
Well, I finally decided to take one of the offers that were given to me to be part of a pit crew, and I accepted, and I've had a great time.
What sort of problems did you encounter today? You're with Kevin Waldock today and Brett Peters of the Playscape team. What sort of problems have you had in the pits this morning?
Well, we broke a universal joint on the grid, basically, and we had to bring it in and replace that. Cost us 4 laps, but the car's run very well since then, apart from one thing where you showed us cutting across a sandpit there. Kevin managed to get it back on the track without losing control, so it was good.
Peter Brock said it's one of the best bits of driving he's ever seen, John. They say a week's a long time in politics. I reckon an hour would have been a long time in pit lane today. You put up with a bit of pressure over the course of a year, but the pressure would have been on today for a while.
I think pit lane is good training for politics, let me tell you.
I'm sure about that. You're suggesting Paul Keating should come here next year, John?
Well, it's a fairly deathly there. If you step off the mark, step back too far, you get cleaned up, so it's a bit like politics.
And you've had other things on your mind today as well, because you've had a terrific result in Victoria last night.
We have, yes. We're very pleased with the outcome, and we look forward to the federal election.
So you can predict the election maybe, John, but what's going to happen here, do you think? What's your scenario for the rest of this race?
The Nissans are hard to beat anyway, and they're hard to beat when you get a lot of rain, so they're running very well, but, you know, it's not over. It's an endurance race. Anybody can still win it, but the Nissans are running disturbingly well, I've got to tell you.
Well, you've made a tremendous progress to be in the pits. Is there any chance we might see you behind the wheel one day?
I doubt it. A lot more skill required. I won't give up my day job, but I enjoy the pits.
Don't do that. John, thanks for coming in and dropping in, and we appreciate your participation today in the great race.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
The leader of the opposition there, John Hewson, and he's a very busy man today in more ways than one, Mike, I can tell you.
Not wrong. Disturbingly quick, he described the Nissans as. Well, here's the Playscape Sierra, Brett Peters, Kevin Waldock. Co-sponsored by Ampol for the great race of 92. Looks like Brett at the wheel, Formula 4 driver. He's a great guy, Kevin Waldock, real sportsman. And it's amazing how he and John Hewson got together. In fact, he was at Adelaide for the Grand Prix, and he noticed John Hewson competing in a celebrity race, and he rang him after, about the Tuesday after the event, and he said, I've watched some guys in celebrity races, and he said, I think you're about the worst. Would you like some driving tips? And John saw the nice side of it and said, yes, I wouldn't mind. So he gave him a lot of his time to get him sorted out with driving, and John joined Kevin and the team for their support race at the Kart IndyCar Grand Prix.
Despite the problems that they've had, this is the car on screen. They are in 21st position.
Well, considering the problems they had this morning, that Playscape Ampol Sierra doing very well. Kevin doesn't drive a lot during the season, and Brett has only a couple of touring car starts a year, so they're doing very well. We'll follow their progress during the afternoon.
Checking positions in the 1600cc class. Despite that little incident, we saw the Verheyen full entry backing up to the wall at the top of the mountain. They recovered and are still in first place in that category and in 20th position outright. Second place 1600cc class still held by car 71, the Scotty and Jason Bargwana. Third place car 74. That's Peter Verheyen and Jeffrey Full. I'm sorry, the leaders in that class are Neil and Rick Bates in car 70. Car 73 is the fourth place getter in that category. The one and only Bob Holden.
Well, the Alan Moffat car, number 10, has rejoined the race after that rear end changeover, 9 laps down. Mark Scaife, the number 1 Winfield Nissan GTR, along pit straight, and he looks sharp here today. Car number 39 is the Everlast car. That, of course, is the veteran Bill O'Brien, Barry Graham, running in 17th spot, and Brian Callahan. Barry Graham has flown back from Charlotte, North Carolina, where he and Rodney Combs and Richard Petty have the NAS track school over there. It's been an enormously successful venture. And Barry back to do the Tui's 1000, a race he loves doing. And they really are privateers. Very small budget. Bill O'Brien getting Barry to do the motors for the season so they could come here for Bathurst. Bill's a very strong finisher. And good to see Brian Callahan back at the wheel as well. They've been here for a few years. Initially with Falcons and now with the Commodore.
Peter Brock, by the way, in the 05 Oval Commodore, who got left on the grid with a broken tail shaft and started the race 2 laps behind everybody else, has now got half the field behind him.
You can never ride off the maestro, can you?
No. Now the pace should pick up appreciably. And whether or not Dick can mount a challenge, only time will tell. The number 2 car, Olofsson and Neil Crompton, still running very, very smoothly. Longhurst is there running in the 4th spot.
With the wind and sunshine and the dry, you wouldn't believe we're on the same planet that we were an hour ago.
Amazing what can happen at Mount Panorama Bathurst in about 35, 40 minutes. Barry Graham, the Everlast Commodore, coming down beneath the Bridgestone Bridge at the end of Conrod Straight.
Well, these the guys in this car, Mike, they know all about going round and round and round, so they will last forever.
Everlast, it's an interesting piece of nomenclature. I mean, you could look at it positively and assume that it suggests durability. On the other hand, it might well suggest that they never do very well in terms of positions.
Split times on the Caltex scoreboard. Of course, Richards and Scaife continue to lead. 26 seconds the margin now over their teammates, Olofsson and Crompton in the second Winfield Nissan. And 37 seconds the margin over third place getters Car 17 Johnson and Bow. Fourth place, Longhurst and Chicotto still the Benson and Hedges BMW, and rounding out the top 5 in car number 16, Alan Grice and Wyn Percy.
2 champions separate.
Continues at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Wyn Percy, lap 90, 161. Our calculations running 5th on the road in the Holden Racing Team Commodore. Been impressed with this car all day with Gricey and Wyn.
Its debut, and a very impressive debut it is too.
Yeah, the highest placed of the 93 spec cars.
While we're talking debut cars, just to digress for a second, the Alan Jones car, the Seaton Jones car, is in the pits, and it's in there with a misfire. A lot of people said this car was untried and wouldn't go a long way. It's gone a long way, but it's got a problem now.
Yes, they were in 10th position coming into the pits, and they're going to lose several spots here. Bo Seaton, Glenn's father, laying down the law to the mechanics. They seem to be a bit nonplussed at the moment as to what the problem is.
Mark Osler is there as Wyn Percy comes onto Conrod Straight. And the sun is out, and that must feel good for a palm. What about it, Wyn?
Well, it looks pretty good at the moment. The weather's a lottery, obviously, but we seem to have got over the worst of it.
This is a very fast part of the racetrack through here, and the car looks beautifully settled today.
These brakes are just unreal. They're wonderful. That's our strong point, I think.
It must be a delight to have some fine weather. That was atrocious early in the day.
Don't ever let me hear Australians complain about Silverstone weather again. It's never that bad.
That was awful. How strong does this car feel, Wyn?
Very, very strong. Really, really pleased with it.
It sounds fabulous.
Just a little bit busy then, sorry. Yep, I think the fans are really loving it.
Yes, they certainly are. Has it been easy on tyres?
Either he didn't hear you, or he doesn't have an opinion.
Wyn heads off Repco corner. Whew, straight over our camera. He's got the GTR hauling after him.
It's 1 lap down, actually, at this stage. Wyn Percy 1 lap down on Scaife and Richards.
It's a little camera hanging out on the back winglet of the the Commodore. That's how close he goes to the wall.
What are those cameras worth, Mike?
It sure saves on the cameraman, though.
Yes.
But it is a great view. It's got plenty of muck over it today, but just watch this as they come down to Skyline. I think that's the Wayne Gardner car just up ahead.
Yeah.
Coming down to the Dipper.
They're great pictures.
They certainly are. Close there, isn't it?
We were talking before about the problems experienced by the Jones-Seaton Falcon, and Alan Jones is now out of the car, I can tell you, and they're wheeling it away. Mark Osler is down there, I believe.
Certainly am, Doug. I've got Alan Jones with me now. Alan, very strong run from this brand new car. What eventually stopped it?
Oh, I think it was only a fuel pump going down Conrod. It just misfired when I changed up into a higher gear. So rather than risk another lap, I pulled in while I was close to the entrance, and they've checked it, and it looks like the fuel pump's going on the thing.
It's a bit of bad luck, despite the fact that it's such a new car. It was always only going to be a niggling problem that'd stop it here, wasn't it?
Doesn't matter how big they are, they stop you, they're big, but the car was going fantastic. When we went back onto slicks, it was really good. You know, it felt great, and I was really getting to know the car.
You're very happy with the Falcon and looking forward to next year, obviously.
Too right I am. Yeah, we've got a lot of homework, and there's a lot more development to be done on the car yet, so I'm really happy about next year.
Fantastic. Thanks for your time, Alan. Best of luck next year.
Okay.
Alf and Tim Grant. Alf's the dad, Tim's the kid, and they always put up a good showing here at Mount Panorama. Last year they were outstanding.
Yeah, it's a good act from Brisbane. You don't see a lot of them, but as you say, they do put in the regular appearance here at Mount Panorama in this Skyline, and they're in 12th position, which is a remarkable performance considering all the high-tech and brute power they've got on the track up in front of them.
They've been able to retain their sponsorship from Sizzler Restaurants. Car ran here last year, as I said, very competitively. They were looking for a top 10 finish. It's the way they started the day, and that's the way they drove the car all day. And I think Tim has developed into one fine little race car driver.
Yeah, they're very much on target for a top 10 finish at the moment. A remarkable performance with what isn't the latest and greatest of cars, the HR31 Nissan. GTSR 31, 1,100 kilos, but just 450 horsepower. Well down on Sierra power there. Goes through the 5-speed gearbox, rear-wheel drive on the 24-valve 6-cylinder engine. Just the one turbocharger. 14-inch brakes on the front. And as we said before, just 450 brake horsepower. Compare that with the 4-wheel drive Godzillas, and somewhere around 200 horsepower down on the latest machines from Nissan. But it's reliable and running just outside of the top 10 at the moment in 12th position.
Back to the Andrew Madecki Troy Dunstan car. Mark Osler is there. What's the problem?
Certainly, yeah, Mike. This car was running in the top 10. It's still up there, 6th position. You just come in and tipped a whole lot of oil into the engine. I don't know whether it's actually using oil. And they had the boot up as well. And there's a possibility of some sort of misfire appearing in the car as the race wears on. I'll keep you monitored on that.
So it is interesting, just as he comes out of the pits, I noticed the Nissan that Johnson's been having a struggle with for some time today, the number 2 car. They've been into it. Look at this. Dick's been waiting to get a bit of, or John Brow, I should say, has been waiting to get a dry line at this.
He's got him.
Yep. Now, as the track dries out, Anders Olofsson has had Johnson come back from behind, or John Bower, I should say. I've said that twice. Back to 2nd position, so we were watching the scrap for 2nd and 3rd. Now, as Anders going to go and chase John Hart. This end is probably a better proposition across the top of the mountain, and the Ford's got a little more stick in a straight line.
Seems to be getting away across the top there.
John Bow at the wheel. He's opened that up in just over the top of the mountain, JB. Down through the S's. Through the dipper. And you see that that dry line now starting to emerge across the top of the mountain. We've had it along the straight and certainly along Pitt Straight for a while. Now let's see whether JB can put anything on, get away any further from Anders Olofsson, the number 2 Winfield Nissan. The car's looked competitive, hasn't it? Number 17.
The Sierra's a very aerodynamic, very quick package, especially in a straight line. The problem, of course, is that the Nissan does have the advantage of the four-wheel drive, which, particularly in damp conditions, as we saw earlier, made things a lot easier. But John Bow and Dick Johnson, a formidable driving combination. Talking to Frank Gardner, he was saying that he rated that as one of the best combinations. 2 very quick drivers indeed.
Oh, I'm glad Wynn had good brakes then. Closed up behind John Bow as they exit and work their way along Pitt Straight.
Landers made no impression on Bow on that lap. If John can continue to drive it at this pace, he's going to hold on to that second place.
Oh, the 15 car. The team car has gone off just in that corner. Pick that up for you in a second as we follow. Yeah, the 15 car looks like Bradley Jones. He's got caught up on top of the ripple strip, I think, and he's trying to ask them to give him a hand back, push him off the ripple strip. 15 was in 6th position.
He's hung up there, I think.
And can't fire it, he's locked it, so. Marshals are trying to see what they can do to help. He's just poised over there. That's not the safest spot on the road. There's some torment going on now for Bradley Jones.
Wipe the sweat from his brow, shrug of the shoulders. There's just nothing he can do. Frustration.
Frustration, embarrassment, and just a bit of paranoia. That's not a great place to be stopped, Gary.
They can only deal with the guys who are on the spot there. And they might, yes, they're having some success now to try and get it off the ripple strip.
The gear stick was stuck. Can you believe it? I've just had words through.
Look at this. He's going to have to get it all the way around and back in again. Let's have a look at the replay as they come through there. That's the Supra going through, and he gets it around sideways. He's got it all locked up. Tries to bring the tail around. That'll bring the front back over the ripple strip. That doesn't do much for the front air dam, and then he's got it wedged on top of the ripple strip. So that's what happened to young Bradley Jones.
Well, the front spoiler won't be a major problem to change. These cars, the spoiler runs so low to the ground that they have to be removable just so they can wheel them in and out of the pits.
That's correct.
I can hear that one. That's how low it is to the ground.
It beats as it sweeps as it cleans.
Yes. No doubt his pit crew will be aware of that. In fact, they are swinging into action as I speak. They're going to go, I believe, for a tyre change. They already have a new front spoiler out the front. So keeping in mind all the garages here carry television monitors. And there they are in place at the moment. At this stage, Bradley is coming down through the S's. They are geared and waiting for him. That dry line, well, it looks like it's almost dry halfway across the mountain. Larry Perkins, Steve Harrington's Commodore, just back behind the HRT machine.
Here's the world's first 300km/h snowplow.
Perkins' car going through now, and I think that may even be Wynn Percy behind. No, it's not. It's, I think, the Bob Jones Commodore.
Indication of just how things are drying out, Mike. The Shell Sierra, number 17, with John Bow at the wheel, in second place, but slowly closing the gap on the number 1 Nissan, circulating in 2:19 laps. Now 2 minutes 19.
It's only 2:30 Eastern. So Bradley comes in. Andy Raymond's there.
Yes, and down here at the Holden pit, obviously putting on the new front spoiler after that little incident. Bradley Jones looking quite comfortable, though, in the driver's seat. They're also putting on some new, fresh, slick tyres. The other car, the number 16 car, Win Percy, will also be coming in soon. Looks like they're having a little bit of problem here getting the front spoiler on. Bradley Jones sitting there as they wipe the front windscreen. Quite a lot of dirt, dust, and a little bit of mud still up there from when it was rainy a little time ago, but everything going fairly much to plan down here for the number 15 Holden.
Thanks, Andy. I tell you what, if looks could kill, poor old Brad Jones, he must feel awful at this stage. They were running there strongly. It only takes one little incident. The whole game plan is out. They've at least been able to get the spoiler on, but may have done just a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, I guess the damage would probably be to the mounting points of the spoiler.
What they don't need to do is just hurry this along and then get out in the track and have all the gaffer tape fall out, then have to come in and do it all over again.
Teammate Alan Grice in the number 16 car, Win Percy, in fact, at the wheel. Up the hill.
I tell you what, Win is not buttoned off. The 15 car has tried to get out of the pits. They have another problem, they're pushing it back in again. Just for the sake of hurrying things along. We'll see what the problem is. And they got Brad back in the pit bay.
And they're moving it back, further back down the pit road to clear the way for the 16 car to come in.
That's a terrible time for young Brad Jones.
It's obviously something that they can't fix in a minute and a half.
Yeah, he was in 6th position before this debacle, which is going to depress every member of the team, particularly that man. Look at the face.
Well, they're still taking quite a while down there, AJ.
Yes, they certainly are. The thing is, Brad Jones is sitting in the 15 car, absolutely disgusted. And to be honest, no one quite knows what has gone wrong with the car. All the panic down here in the Holden pits is the fact that the Win Percy number 16 car is coming in, and it looks like it'll be coming in within the next lap. Everyone is ready. It looks like a regulation stop. There'll be a driver change. They're putting the slick tyres on. Alan Grice, of course, getting in. They've got fuel, but Brad Jones sitting in the car, unaware of what's gone wrong underneath him.
Okay, yes, that's when you get your priorities. That's when you've got the number 2 car. They don't want the guys working on that. They're in with Win with a big chance of this. Gap 25.9 seconds. Bow still slowly catching Scaife. Richards and young Mark Scaife continue to lead the great race on lap 95 over the Johnson-Bow combination. Olofsson and Crompton run 3rd on the road. Tony Longhurst, Johnny Chicotto are in 4th, and 5th Win Percy and Alan Grice. More of the great race to come in just a moment. Out Panorama at Bathurst, car number 34, the BMW 635, running in 16th position. Alan Grice been in and out of the pits, and he has rejoined in 5th spot.
This is Ray Gulson and son. And they do a good job in this NEC-sponsored car. It is an old car. This is the car that Jim Richards campaigned through the Touring Car Championship and here at Bathurst in 1986. But it's still going strong. So is Ray Gulson. This is his 21st race start at Bathurst, and on all previous 20 occasions, he has finished the race. He's never failed to finish here. They did stop him from starting one year. He didn't qualify within 100 and whatever % of the field it is.
And his son Graham does a great job, and they've got Kiwi Peter Beck on board for the weekend. So they're up there running, working their way down to a top 10 finish. Just ahead of them, the David Parsons, number 35, Peter Jackson Sierra. Just a lap or so back there, getting the car a little sideways. Let's have a look at that. Coming through Caltex Chase, a little sideways out on the grass. Spins back, but at least he's staying away from the sand trap, trying to bring the front of it around, drop it down again. No, he couldn't. It's still there. He's got to attack it from the other side now. get it pointed in the right direction. Wayne Park and David Parsons.
Whoa.
And the whole idea is you just have to keep it going. Get out of there. You've got it back onto the racetrack. Hasn't done any harm. He's up there and percolating along nicely, heading up Mountain Straight. I'll need some panels on that for its next race meeting.
That car's just had a pit stop as well. And car 15 we saw going into the pits, Brad Jones, who had that problem originally with the spoiler and then got stuck in the pit lane. The problem with that car is the tail shaft, which they're having to replace. So a long pit stop in prospect for Brad Jones.
Strathfield Car Radio's entry, car 42, the Commodore of Graham Moore. Wayne Gardner is coming back to the pit shortly, and I understand Wayne Gardner will get back into the car.
35, the Park Parsons car running in 10th at the moment as we get down to the pits. AJ with Bradley.
And the dramas continue for the Holden team. The number 15 car, Bradley Jones, a universal joint at the back of the car, all from the second gear, not sticking.
Yeah, it's not meant to be our year. The car's jumping out of second gear, so I've been using third most places, and you know, we got pretty close behind Tony. I went back to second just by habit and jumped out about halfway around the corner. So you know, and you know, it's just one of those things, I guess, a bit like the tail shaft. When you just, that's what happens.
Then you came into the problem of the boss coming into the pits while you were here.
Yeah, I guess after roaring around for a few laps, it's pretty hard to just sit here and watch someone else get serviced. But you know, he's got a bit of a chance and we've got none, so you've got to play the game.
Okay, thanks, Andy. I think Bradley said it all.
That tail shaft was probably damaged sitting on the ripple strips over there, mate.
Would have been, or car number 70. We've seen a great scrap here. The Bates lads continuing, and then the baby car class. I think the Bugwana boys are giving them some curry here today, Wilco, as well.
Yes, these three cars have run at the top of the field in the 1600cc category all day. Neil and Rick Bates leading the category from Scott and Jason Bargwana in car 71, and car 74, Peter Verheyen, Jeffrey Full have been holding down third spot. That's pretty much the way they've run all day. And for those drivers out there that are enjoying the respite after the downpour that we had earlier, they'd better make the most of it, because there are dirty black-green clouds rolling in from the southwest, and I would think we might get more rain. Another 45 minutes and maybe an hour.
No Pain Wayne comes out again.
In the Strathfield Car Radio Commodore. Well, we're talking about hard luck stories. You saw the look on Brad Jones's face. I wonder if Alan Moffat is going back to emotional mode. Car 10 back in the pits once again, this time replacing a rear oil cooler, and the word is that it was Scaife who bumped him in the back and caused the problem.
It's the Binding Smash Repairs entry. Frank Binding, Bob Tyndall, they had some trouble earlier in the race, but have managed to get the car up and running, and still out there circulating, although well down in the field at the present time. But it's a great experience. They want to get out there and wring every lap out of the car that they can.
Is there any evidence of Scaife bumping the Moffat Sierra? I can't see any damage to the front end of that motor car.
No, it continues nicely down Conrod Straight. Runs superbly from lap number 2. Coming down to the approach to Caltex Chase. They've picked up the pace in the Nissan, because JB in the Johnson Shell Sierra was starting to make some inroads. But have a look at split times. 28.3 seconds, the gap from our race leader, Mark Scaife, back to John Bauer. Olofsson and Crompton run third and the second, the Winfield Nissan GTRs. Fourth is Tony Longhurst and Johnny Chicotto. They're going to do it hard in the closing stages of this race. And in fifth spot, car number 16, Win Percy and Alan Grice. The great race continues in Mount Panorama.
Shows you on lap 102 out of 161.59 remaining that the entry of Cotter and Dillman, the BMW M3 sponsored by Impala Kitchens, has run its race. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the Impala.
They did have fire down below.
they had a bit of bad luck with this car, actually, in the final qualifying session Friday afternoon. They put Rod through the engine. They had to take out the 2.5 litre engine. It was the last one they had, put in an old 2.3 litre. And but it's been running up to this point fairly well. But I think they've run their race now.
Now the chips are not only down, they're burning. Brad Jones is back on the track with a new tail shaft, and Peter Brock is in the pits changing his second tail shaft for the day. I think we've spotted one weakness with the brand new Commodores, the VPs.
Car 44 is also a Commodore VL model. Stuart McCall and Peter Gazzard. McCall from Tasmania, Peter Gazzard from South Australia. They've got Channel 9 sponsorship on the car from Mount Gambier in South Australia. And never anticipated being in the firing line for top honours here, but considering the conditions and the attrition rate among the rest of the field, they've done a terrific job, because they're in the top 20, running in 19th position at the present time, and with conditions drying out, and keep fingers crossed they stay that way, and as long as they can stay out there circulating, they're going to finish a very respectable race here.
And Peter Gazzard, as I recall, winner of that Search for a Champion.
That's correct, yes.
And only a youngster, and very well. Johnson and Wall.
Now, this is the farmer from North Queensland, Warren Johnson, that came here and drove with his brother.
That's right, last year. They're from the Atherton.
That's right.
Totally.
Has teamed up with Des Wall, whom we see a lot of on 7 Motorsports through the year, mostly in sports sedans.
Warren mentioned, I think, last year that all the locals all assemble in one spot because they only get the reception in one area there. For Bathurst, they all sit there and cheer Warren and the boys.
Well, they'll be cheering today because they're in 15th position and still running strongly. They've not been involved in any trouble, no incidents, no mishaps, no mechanical failures.
Trying to put the mockers on him, Gary.
No.
Touch wood. We've got those black clouds coming in. It still looks very bright on the side of the circuit, but another 10 minutes is going to see the curtain fall once again. We're going to lose visibility, and we may lose this this dry track. They're very heavy rain clouds moving in from the direction of Orange City.
So Warren Johnson continues in the Commodore. As Gary mentioned, that he's been running very conservatively all day, but he's up there in the 15th. The gap between Mark Scaife and John Bowe was running about 26 seconds. Mark Scaife has responded to that and has opened it up by about another 4 seconds. So Scaife is well and truly in control in the Nissan GTR, car number 1. As Warren makes his way to the top of the mountain. BP cutting. And here's the man of the moment, Mark Scaife. Driving the wheels off the Nissan GTR today. The HRT Commodore sitting in behind him.
But a lap down.
I tell you, he is not sparing the rod, young Scaife.
No, he's having to earn his money today, isn't he?
Doing a good job on this. I guess the big question has been, what will Freddie Gibson's team do, given that the turbo era ends on the 31st of December of this year?
He's only got 2 ways to jump.
And I believe it will probably be in favour of the General. So the word does have it that Mark Scaife and Jim Richards certainly running V8s next season as of January 1st with the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Great Nissan race cam. Give you an idea of Mark. We pan it around as he comes over the top of the mountain, heading down towards Skyline. Just ahead of him, I think, is the Larry Perkins V8 Commodore. And we take the floor cam version that shows you just looks very relaxing. There's always the trademark of a very professional and polished race car driver. It does make it look very, very easy. But it's not easy work out there. Hard day at the office for Mark Scaife and Jimmy Richards. The Bob Jane T-Mart's Commodore gives him the inside run to the turn. They take the inside of the other Sierra as Larry hooks on, trying to get a draft. There's Jimmy Richards. Tom Smith from Shell. Good day for him. He's got them in the top three. He's got the trifecta up top. Down to the end of Conrod Straight, they swing towards the chase. Perkins, position 11. They're up a lot stronger than that early in the day. Had problems, drifted out, now coming back into the top 10. Just look at the ground it makes under brakes.
Hauls in the Terry Finnegan, Foodtown's Commodore entry effortlessly.
It looks like the team, including Mark's young lady down there, timing the cars as Mark goes by to complete yet another lap, and he heads up Mountain Straight.
Now, we were just talking about Larry Perkins back out there and over his problems with alternators and batteries, but he's back in the pits. He was in position 11, recovering after all that drama, and he's back in the pits.
Well, many considered that he would be the strongest running Commodore here today, that the new spec Commodores wouldn't survive because they were just too new. Let's go down there and just see what the problem is.
Yes, thanks, Gary. Scheduled stop driver change in some respects, but the real reason is they've been having trouble with the alternator, and that is still giving them a bit of curry, just topping up the oil and changing the tyres as well. But the alternator and the battery problem has been ongoing. Mind you, it's not something they're paying a lot of attention to at the moment, so maybe it was just the odd connection there, because it's not something that's put a lot of time in during this stop. It's mainly been change of tyre and driver. Larry Perkins now coming out. Interestingly, the car's had a bit of a shunt up the front while it's been out there as well. So, and now more trouble. I think Steve Harrington just pointing to the crew. Seems to have some sort of problem, but he hasn't cut the engine, so you would think they would be going shortly. But this has been a fairly lengthy stop for what was really hoped to be just the changing of one connection. Trouble's the back left-hand wheel. It's now done. They're off. But that's cost them a bit of time, and they haven't really had a lot of time to play around with all the mistakes they've had.
Rejoining the race in 12th position is the Perkins-Harrington Commodore, Bob Jane sponsored entry. And we go back to race leader Mark Scaife, a young man in a hurry, and he's in such a hurry he's achieved almost everything at the age of 25. The Australian Touring Car Championship, defending champion here in the Tooheys 1000 at Mount Panorama. That was after having finished second in the Touring Car Championship of 1991. He's also the Australian Drivers' Champion, and originally from the Central Coast of New South Wales, but now firmly ensconced in Melbourne, headquarters of the Winfield Nissan team.
He won this race last year, Gary, and he's well on his way to winning it this year.
He sure is.
He's great to watch, especially in traffic when he's got slower cars in front of him. It tends to be the mark of a really great driver, the way that they deal with the slower cars. And Scaife charging past a lot of slower cars in places that many other drivers would back off and hang on for a little while.
Well, again, with such astonishing handling, he can take lines that a lot of other drivers couldn't take. I mean, he can pass. He physically can pass in places that other people would consider suicidal.
Winfield Nissan have got the great race by the throat at the moment, and it's just playing even further and further into their hands because the traffic has thinned out somewhat now, with a number of cars dropping out. The track is drying out, and Mark Scaife is getting a good crack at it up front. After this stage of the race, they continue to lead. Richard Scaife, car number 1, second place 17, Johnson Bauer, third place. Car number 2 is the second Nissan entry, Olafson and Crompton. Car 25, Longhurst Chicotto, are in 4th place. Car 16, the first of the HRT Commodores, Percy and Grice, in 5th position.
Running in 6th, Andy Madecki and Troy Dunstan with a Mobil 1 Commodore. Then the second of Dick Johnson's Ford Sierras, the Shield Creek example, in 7th. Mark Gibbs and Rowan Onslow in 8th, Wayne Park and David Parsons in 9th, and then the Harris Cook entry in 10th.
In 11th position, Finnegan and Rogers in the Foodtown Commodore, Perkins and Harrington in 12th, Grant and Grant in 13th, O'Brien and Graham in the Everlast Commodore in 14th position, and Waldock Peters, Playscape Sierra in 15th.
Let's keep going, check the entire field. Johnson Wall, the Commodore VL in 16th position rather. 17th position, car 34, Gulson and Beck in the BMW 635. Position 18, car 71, the Bargwana cousins in the Corolla. Position 19 is car 70, Bates and Bates. So they're not leading that class any longer. The Bargwana boys do. Bates and Bates in 19th. 20th place, Mazira and Jones in, well, what was the other Commodore? It's not running any longer.
McCall and Gazard in 21st, car 13 in 22nd position, Jones and Jansen. 23rd, 74, Verheyen and Jeffrey Full. 24th, car 10, Needsvitz and Hansford, one of the pre-race favourites. And 25th, car 9, its teammate, Charlie O'Brien and Gary Brabham.
Seaton and Jones in 26th after disappointment. Burke and Garling 27th. Dunford and Wright in the Toyota Corolla 28th. Easton and Stratton in yet another of the little Corollas in 29th. And Moore and Gardner, after several problems earlier in the race, winding up that bracket.
Car 31, Dillman Cotter out of the race now. Car 76 rather is in 32nd position. Gardner and Conway in a Corolla. Position 33 held by Murphy and Barnes, also a Corolla. Position 34, Brock and Reuter, their race is run. And position 35, Ray and Talbot in a Corolla.
Position 36, Matthews and Newton with their Sierra. Holden and Jones in 37th. 38th, Reed and Ashby. That car, of course, out with an incident that we saw earlier. 39th, Binding and Tyndall with the Corolla. And 40th, Kerr and Watson with their Commodore.
41st there, Hendrick and Blanchard, the Commodore VL. 42nd, Hopwood and Bosenjack. Although we saw that car involved in a very nasty incident that's not going around anymore. English Lamont, the Marathon Foods Commodore in 43rd. The very, very sad entry there. We've heard news, of course, earlier today that Denny Hume has passed away. The number 44 car no longer running as a result. And Wilmington Watkinson in 45.
And just to round out the field, 46th position, Sala and Weeks, Ford Sierra, and 47th. They didn't get very far, Bond and Smith. That's the field in the great race.